Coleen carries with her, well, many stories. But this story in particular that is the prelude to the Elm Dance. She told me that in order for us to dance the Elm Dance, a promise had been made to the people who taught that dance, that their story would always be told before the dance was danced. So Coleen will tell us that story, and I invite you to come forward to do that.
It's great to be here. I love that in just a few days I can look out and see many new friends' faces here. This feels like a fabulous church. I'm tempted to drive an hour and a half from Vermont to come here Sunday mornings. Maybe I'll do it on occasion. But thank you for your welcome. Thank you, Stephanie and Jim, for opening your home to me. And I've had a really rich experience since Friday morning at 9 o'clock. So this actually is like two stories. The song that we're going to dance to is Latvian, and it was recorded and sung in Latvia in the 80s, prior to the Soviet Union breaking up. And it's a song about trees, and it's a song about trees blooming and branching out and spring arriving. But the underneath story of that song is that it became a resistance song for the Latvian people who were really wishing for freedom from the Soviet Union and to have their country back. And so it became an embedded revolutionary song that got sung at their rallies for freedom from the Soviet Union. So it went to the top of the charts, and any Latvian person who hears this song immediately rejoices in their freedom to be Latvia again. So Joanna Macy, who is the founder of the work that Reconnects, that we did in workshops here this weekend, she was introduced to this in Germany, actually, the song and the dance, and she started using it in her work. Her husband, Fran Macy, who most people in the United States have never heard of, but Fran was a director in the Peace Corps in India and Asian countries and ended up ultimately in Russia, which was his love because he majored in Russian studies as an undergraduate. And so he was the head of the Russian Peace Corps, and in the process started, after his Peace Corps stint, started a major environmental group in Russia. And not unlike Sierra Club in this country. So he was well known in Russia and worked to train and work with activists in Russia to deal with the environmental degradation and atrocities that were happening in that country. So of course, when Chernobyl happened, when that nuclear power plant melted down, all the activists in Russia that Fran had been working with were, of course, alerted and, came together in support of the people who were impacted incredibly by that event. And so in the years following Chernobyl, Fran would often work with the activists to figure out what they could do for these communities that were radiated, basically. And at one point, they decided to bring Joanna, who was doing the work to Reconnect, in with Fran to go around to various cities, small cities, in the Bryansk region of Russia, where a lot of the radiation fell out, and to offer workshops in order for people to reconnect with themselves, because there was such a numbness that had happened in the event of that experience. So Joanna didn't speak Russian, her husband Fran did, but using translators, she came in, and she's a pretty vivacious woman and, just gets people going and talking and emoting. And so she brought these Russian people together in an elementary school and a gymnasium, and anything she tried, she was met with just stone-cold faces. They didn't even use the word Chernobyl or nuclear reactive, meltdown. They called it the event. Since the event, they would say, we don't talk about things. Since the event, and so her work is to get us to really get back in touch with our heart and to not block and not numb ourselves, but instead to share and to be in our grief, to honor that pain, but to move through it so that we can come out and do work in the world that is freed from, this emotional stuckness. So she was pulling her hair out. It's like, how can I get these people to respond? How can I get them to start talking about this atrocity and sharing with each other? Some of the families were leaving to run and visit their children in the hospital that were dying of leukemia. And they'd come back and just, and then the father would leave, and then he'd be there for a couple hours, and then the mother would leave. And she was witnessing this and thinking, how can I get them to start sharing their grief? So finally, she decided to offer this Elm Dance that she had learned in Germany, where people gather, and it's, some of you might be worried that you're being asked to dance in the yard today. It's really a meditative walk. It's a very simple, procedure of walking and meditating in a circle as a sacred circle experience. So let me calm your fears about that. And she decided that she would offer that, and many Russian people knew Latvian language and knew the song because, of course, it was popular all over the Soviet Union. So she put the music on and she taught them the steps, and they did the dance. And they started to hold their hands up, which wasn't part of the dance, in order for the trees to be signified as swaying, and you'll see that in the dance. These were the people of a community of Novozhivkov. And the atrocity that happened there is when the radiation cloud that was exploding out of Chernobyl started to go into the atmosphere. The wind shifted, and it was heading northeast toward Moscow. And the people of the Soviet Union realized, or the government realized, that Moscow had rain predicted, and this cloud was going to land in Moscow at the time the rain was probably going to hit, and millions of people in Moscow would be radiated. So they made the immediate choice to seed the clouds, the radiation cloud that was leaving Chernobyl, so that it would drop into the countryside before hitting Moscow. They made that decision and never informed the people of the Bryansk region. And so unbeknownst to them, when it started to rain, they were getting huge amounts of radiation raining down on them. And they weren't even informed that that had happened for months afterwards. So people started getting sick, and they had no idea why. So once they learned it, of course, their children were dying, people were getting leukemia. It was difficult, and since then, of course, babies are being born deformed. And the other really sad thing for the people of Novozhivkov is they were an agriculture area and also a woodlands community and culture. So the forest was the place that they went for their recreation. Many people made their living in the forest, logging, using the wood. And have in your mind this image of beautiful Russian houses with painted doors and crafted windows and bright turquoise and reds and colors. These were their houses. And what we know is that radiation sinks into wood and is stored there. So many of these houses had to be razed and just completely demolished. People got put in concrete slab apartments, and the roads into the woods and the forests were shut down. They could no longer go into their woods and celebrate and picnic and take their children hiking. So not only were they sickened, but they had lost their culture and their homes. And it was an atrocity that really the world did not know about. And so here was Joanna in front of these people, trying to get them 4 or 5 years later to talk about it. Can we deal with this? And for them, it was like they had so numbed themselves to this reality that they couldn't. What happened in dancing the Elm Dance is they started to melt. So they started to dance, you know, they added the swaying trees, and that's how they ended the day. The next morning when she came, they wanted to do the dance. And so she put the music on. They wanted to do it again. She put the music on again, and they wanted to do it again. And finally, they started to talk. And they talked, and they shared, and they told their stories, and they shared what was happening to their children, to their homes, and then at the end, Joanna remembers vividly, the next day they were leaving, so it was like the last day. They waited 5 days, and you know, that happens sometimes. You wait till the very end, and then you kind of burst. So they waited till this last day to really start talking, and at the end of the day, this big Russian woman got up, Anna, and she looked at Joanna, and she goes, "How dare you have done this to us? You came here, you incited us to begin talking about it. Our grief is huge. You've opened us up, and now you get to go back to America. And we're left here, and the world doesn't know what happened." And Joanna, feeling very guilty at that point, looked at them and said, "I will dance this dance, and I will tell your story. Every time it's danced, and everybody I teach this dance to, I will ask them to tell your story." So that, in fact, the people of Novosibirsk will not be forgotten. And what goes on there still goes on there. We're talking thousands of years, thousands many, many generations before they will be able to enter that forest again. So today we're going to dance the Elm Dance in honor of the people of Novosibirsk to help them know that they are not forgotten, that such environmental atrocities that are happening around the world, that this congregation of people care, and that you're working, all of you, in whatever way you can to alleviate this kind of thing happening. So we're going to do it twice. The first time we're going to dance for the people of Novosibirsk, and the second time we're going to dance for us in celebration of spring. And so the tape will play once. We'll go out. I'll teach the dance. We'll dance for the people of Novosibirsk, and then there'll be a break, a simple pause. The music will start again, and we will dance for the celebration of spring that we have happening around us. So we can leave on a spring happy note today. When we dance that dance, I want you to call out that which you love most in the world. And you just call it into the circle as a way to celebrate who we are in this world, in our connection. So the paradox is we need to hold the sorrow of what happens in our world and the incredible joy of what it means to be alive on this planet. And you're invited in to live the paradox, because in fact, and indeed, that's what we have to do. So thank you for letting me offer this story and this dance And if we just go out, we've set up some chairs. If you do not want to participate, elders, people that, please sit in a chair and you'll be able to watch the circle around you, and you will be the heart of our group and the heart of the dance, okay? So you will be a participant. And also, Herb is going to video it. So it should be a beautiful thing. And any questions that I can answer for anybody before we head out? Okay, she'll give a little more direction. Thank you.
Doug, as the usher, could you go and gather the children? I think they're waiting in the parish hall for us. Maybe you could just bring them here to meet us instead of us going to meet them. Thank you. I think we'll go out this front door and then go out to the our open space on the corner. If you need help walking there, will you either grab someone next to you or just stay where you are, and we will gather you up as people are headed out to make sure that everyone has steady footing out there. And there are chairs to sit in out there. If you either don't feel steady enough to dance, walk meditatively in our open space, or just don't wish to. Both of those are fine choices. I invite you, also the choir will sing a little bit to carry us out the door so that we can keep a sense of meditation as we go out into the sunshine. Please join us in the dance.
Coleen is speaking! It's a very simple dance. It's done in 4 steps and 4 sways. So you go, if this group in the circle, if everybody will just watch, I'll have this group in the middle, practice with me. So you go 4 steps, you start going backwards. So with your right foot, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, then stop and sway 4 times. Go to the right, left, right, left. Sway, 2, 3, 4. Now step forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sway, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to come into the middle. Don't you worry in the middle that we're going to suffocate you. We're going to come into the middle and we're going to raise our arms. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then sway. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sway. 2, 3, 4. Then you start over. Back. 2, 3, 4. Sway. 2, 3, 4. Forward. 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry. I was distracted. He was tickling him. Do you have it? Yeah. Okay. We always go right. We always right. And start right to sway. And after a while, you don't have to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and sway, sway, sway. Listen to this beautiful, beautiful song sung in Latin. Remember, she's singing about trees and spring and blossoming and blooming. And it has, however, a very sad undertone. So it's like, why this song about spring and, you know, all this erupting life, and yet it sounds so, and it's, you know, that's the undertone of the revolution. So the first time we're going to just be silent, and we're going to sing with those people in our hearts and send them great love and blessings on this day. I'm sure it's spring in Russia right now as well. And it's spring in Afghanistan too. And it's, yes, the northern hemisphere we're celebrating. And then the second time, remember, we're going to do it again, and you can just shout out, you you know, what it is you love most about the world, you know, and just don't hold back. And if there's a cacophony of people yelling, whales, bats, snakes, trees, you know, whatever, it does. That's our celebration of who we are and what we are. Somebody needs to start the tape.
That's my mission in life.
And check the volume. Hopefully it's loud enough you can hear.
I walked back.
You want me to go ask the other church, keep it down?
Yeah, it's on rewind.
There you go.
It's playing. We're doing the Elm Dance with it. Come join us.
Thank you so much.
Louder.
And the parade. The ocean. Two left. Maple syrup.
Mount Desert Island.
We rode.
Camp Huckins.
Aurora Borealis.
Speak truth, give thanks each day, respect the earth and all the creatures, for they are alive like you. Care for your body, it is a wondrous gift. Be gentle with yourself, live simply, be of service.